Hi, you're tuned in to Gospel Interviews. I'm Larry W. Robinson. Gospel Interviews features special guests for an unedited, unscripted, unrehearsed conversation about anything gospel. You never know who will drop by to join me on the broadcast. So stay tuned for exciting conversation right here on Gospel Interviews with your host, Larry W. Robinson. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Larry W. Robinson. My guest today is Matthew C. Horne. He is a motivational speaker, an author, and is the president of Optimum Success International, a self-development and publishing company located in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area. He's the author of 5 books. I have 3 of them in my possession right now. One of them is All We Have Is Now, How to Create What's Missing, and Do It Now. I love this book. This is probably one of my favorites from Matthew. Also, he has another book titled Choices, The Young Black Man's Guide to Successful Living. And then the one that has created a buzz around the world and back is How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want in Life. How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want in Life. His message of creating your life your way, I love this, creating your life your way, is spanning the globe through his books, his speeches, and other mediums of communication. Matthew C. Horne is one of the world's premier motivational speakers, and I'm excited to have him on the broadcast today. My buddy, Matthew C. Horne, welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, Larry. You know, you're my favorite interviewer, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show, always.
Thank you so very much. Well, I am excited. I don't want to waste any time. We have a powerful topic to talk about today, the power of your gifts. The power of your gifts. Now, recently you took a trip out of the country and you blogged about it. So do me a favor and tell the listening audience just a little bit about that trip, and then we'll go specifically into our content today.
Okay, well, it was a trip out of the country where I celebrated my 30th birthday and just wanted to do something different. And so I left the country and I found myself having a conversation with my brother's friend. And he was having some relationship issues and with his fiance. And what I did is I listened intently and just let him say what he had to say. And then I just chimed in when he was finished talking. I said, when she did this, you did this.
Right.
He said, yes. I said, when you did this, she did this. And he said, yes. He said, how did you know that? I said, well, listen, I recently wrote a book about relationships and how extremely beautiful women think. I said, I've been able to quantify beautiful women's thought processes having dated so many. And just let him know that that's how I came to that level of understanding and was just able to hear what he said and immediately know the back end of what happened. He immediately wanted the book, my latest book that I just told him that I had written. But I purposefully left my books out of the country because this was my vacation time. In essence, I wanted to leave that world behind me. And I realized that, you know, later on, as I meditated on that conversation, I realized 2 things, or 3 things actually. My first realization was that your gifts are the solutions that you were sent here to deliver to your fellow man. And that was evidence. And when I used my gift, he immediately found a solution. And then I realized the second thing, that your solutions are where your prosperity is. As soon as he got a solution from me, he immediately wanted to make a financial exchange by purchasing my book. And the third realization I came to is that you can never shelve your gifts, especially when they are the solutions that you were sent here to deliver to your fellow man. It's plain and simple. And so by me consciously choosing not to bring any books out of the country, I had carry-on luggage, I had a myriad of ways I could have transported these books. For me to choose not to bring the book, in essence, I was robbing him of a solution. Right. So you're never off when you're operating in your gifts, because when you're operating in your gifts, you're operating in your very reason as to why you manifested here. And once you do that, you're on a collision course with the people who was sent to you to get the solutions from you. So you never shelve your gifts. That's the third lesson that I took away.
That's good. So today we're talking about the power of the gifts. And of course, you gave the 3 solutions, or the 3 truths that you mentioned in your blog. And I just want to recap them real quick. Your gifts are solutions for your fellow man. Now, my favorite book of all time says it this way: every good and perfect gift comes from the Father above. So here's, and we've already had a text interview about this already, but Do me a favor and tell the listener, because many times, especially in certain organizations, certain religious sectors, they'll say things like you got to get permission to use your gift, or you have to go through really hoops, a lot of hoops and so many channels before you have permission to get out there and use your gift. What thoughts do you have about that? Like people that are waiting till the right time, waiting until a certain person gives them a permission to use a gift that they got from the creator of the universe.
Wow, this is some very serious and needed subject matter that we're discussing right here. I'm just going to tell you briefly about my experience about me using my gifts. I got my first book contract when I was 22 years old in my last semester of college. I was just finishing up, and I got a contract to co-author a book with 13 other motivational speakers. The book was titled A Massive Dose of Motivation. Okay. From that point on, as soon as I graduated, shortly thereafter, the inspiration came to me to write my first book, The Universe Is Inviting You In, which was my first solo book. I was actually at a church that had that ideology that, there was an order, so to speak, and that you had to check off with the order if you wanted to do any major things with your life. And pretty much, in essence, you had to get permission, just as you said. And I was met with resistance when I let the quote unquote leadership in order know what I was doing. I was pulled to the side after church and by, someone who I actually admired and that I respected. And they told me, Matthew, what makes you think you can do this? We haven't even done it yet. I was stood up publicly in church and told that no one was going to buy my books. And I was basically challenged over and over again because I represented what was possible without going through the quote unquote order. And I was a threat to the control that the church was under. I'm just being 100% transparent. And this isn't something that I talk about often, but I know it's needed. So I'm not going to serve anyone by holding anything back. And so what I did was I got very still and I got very quiet. And I went ahead and I finished my book, and I took an unedited copy to motivational speaker Les Brown, who's the top Black motivational speaker in the world. And he loved the book so much that he sent me a testimonial. He read it, and his staff sent me a testimonial. That testimonial went on the front cover of the book. And the book has sold all over the world. And more importantly, it's not a book, it's a solution that has been an enhancement to my fellow man all around the world. And I would have never, ever been able to deliver this solution if I would have subjected my gifts to man, more or less. Okay. Man has permission to regulate your gifts if man is the one who gave you the gift. But
say that again.
Man has permission to regulate your gift if man is the one who gave you the gift. But considering that an all-knowing omniscient creator is the one who dispensed gifts to every human being, you have to subject your gift to the all-knowing omniscient creator. And that's how it works. You see where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you're doing your creator an injustice if you subject your gifts to man.
That's good. All right. Talking about the power of your gifts. He has a blog. Is it Matthew C. Horne Blogs, correct?
MatthewCHorneBlogs.com.
All right, MatthewCHorneBlogs.com. And you can find this one, The Power of Your Gifts, is from October the 11th, 2013. All right, truth number one, your gifts are a solution for your fellow man. In other words, God gave us a gift to use in service to humanity. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
All right. I love number two. As a matter of fact, I highlighted a few things in number two. All right. Your prosperity is in your gift. Your prosperity is in your gift. And what I loved about it, you said, if you create something substantial from God, from your God-given gifts, and opportune financial setback can serve as an opportune a moment to dig deeper in the reservoir of your solutions and create your life your way through your gifts. In other words, if you've had some unexpected financial setbacks, it can actually, and matter of fact, one of my other favorite motivational speakers says it this way, Willie Jolly, a setback is simply a setup for a comeback. And so if that has happened for you, that gives you an opportunity to step back just for a moment, regroup, and then dig into the reservoir of your gifts and then create your life your way through your gifts.
Absolutely.
You want to just kind of elaborate on that for our listening audience?
Yes, we've all been given the ability to create our life and do it our way through our gifts and talents. That's one thing, a lot of people say that life isn't fair, but it is fair in one regard. Every human being was dealt a hand. Okay. What I mean by your hand is your gifts, your talents, your attributes, and your unique perspective and way that you see the world. That's a unique hand that was dealt to you. And what happens oftentimes is that we get caught up looking into someone else's hand and wanting cards that they were dealt. The truth of the matter is there are people around us who have cards in their hand that we will never be dealt. And you have to accept that. Okay. And when you accept your hand, then that means you've embraced it. You're not looking to the right or to the left. You've embraced the hand that God has dealt you. Okay. When you embrace that hand, guess what? It becomes alive to you. You can identify what your best cards are. And it's advantageous in any card game to play your best card. So when you identify your cards, your gifts, your talents, your attributes, you have to play that best card. Okay. Tony Robbins says, this is the most competitive era in history. He says you can't be good or great, you have to be outstanding. And when you can identify the best card that life has dealt to you, that's where your prosperity is. That's going to be the magnitude of the solution that you deliver is going to, in turn, is going to dictate the magnitude of financial return that you receive. They say that impact drives income. And when you can tap...
Impact drives income.
Impact drives income. So the magnitude of the solution that creates the best impact is going to create the best income for you. So it's about digging into yourself. Your answers are inside of you. Your answers were already embedded into the fabric of who you are before you even showed up here. It's your gifts. Everything comes down to your willingness to work with the gifts that life has dealt you.
That's good. Well, you know what? At the time of this taping, the quote unquote, the government has shut down. Many people are getting nervous. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They lost a stream of income. And actually on, just as you said it right here, if you've lost a stream of income, life, setbacks, difficulties, all that gives you an opportunity to sit back and assess the gifts that God has given you and create a strategy to move on. But finally, you says your gifts were never meant to be shelved. And of course, you use the example that when you went out of the country, you left your books, but really you should have brought those books with you.
I should have.
So a lot of times, many people, they get comfortable in life. They may get a good job. They may have a dream, Matthew, at the beginning of their life, and talked about it. Everybody knew about it, but then they accept I'm not gonna say the lie, but they hear go to college, get a good education so that you can get a good job, so that you can be secure for the rest of your life. What is the danger of telling young people that advice today?
The danger is staring us in the face with this government shutdown. There's danger anytime that you subject your life and put it in the hands of another human being, your livelihood. There's danger in that. Because people are unpredictable. Man has agendas. People have angles, as we can see with the whole government shutdown that we're facing. And it just doesn't make sense. The truth of the matter is staring us right in the face. Your best bet is to create an opportunity for yourself. And even if you have a job, we still have the ability to still use our gifts and create something for ourselves. It's all about, how much you value your gifts and how clear of a vision and how much belief that you have in them, that's going to dictate whether you take your free time and try to develop something with them. And that's what it comes down to. We all have gifts, talents, abilities, and these represent our ability to make our own way in life outside of anything around us.
Hey, Matthew, I was just talking to a buddy of mine, and he recently was downsized from his job. And he was thinking about getting into some other ventures, but he made the statement that, where I'm from, is a dog eat dog. Everybody is so territorial, it's cliquish and all those kinds of things. And so I was beginning to tell him, I said, well, hey, you have access to a worldwide community. If you have a product or a service, you have access to a worldwide community. You're not limited just to your neighborhood and your region. What's the important for people? How important is it for people to have a worldwide view and know that the solutions that God has given you through your gifts may not necessarily be for a geographical location. It may be for somebody that lives literally around the world from you.
Great. In my book, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, the premise is to never settle for anything less than a match. If you bought that book from me and you looked on the inside and I signed that book for you, I say, your name, then under that I put never settle for anything less than a match, and then I sign that book, just like that. You know, so you never know where your match is, but I will show you point blank right here, right now, how to identify what your match is. Okay, Dr. Mike Murdock says, "Go where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated." Okay. Your breakthrough will come when you find an abundance and a conglomerate of individuals who celebrate what you have to offer. Plain and simple. So you can't stop until you find your match. If you get rejected along the way, and that's what I say in the book, How to Get Beautiful Women, an accumulation of no's will show you how to create a yes. An accumulation of no's is just what you're going to face en route to finding the yes, the match. And when you find the match, that means you all have a similar energy, and that's when you can unleash your miracles.
I like that. Well, you know, Oprah says rejection is simply permission to go a different direction. Exactly.
And if we want to get biblical, may I get biblical on your show, Mr. Robinson?
Sure.
I mean, I just look at, instances in the Bible where it says that, when Jesus started his ministry, and he says he departed because they received him not. Now, Jesus was uninhibited spiritual energy. He was a walking miracle. Everywhere that his feet tread, he had the ability, the capacity, and most importantly, the desire to perform a mind-blowing miracle. Because his mission was to expand the mind of humanity in terms of what's possible for their life. He came here to introduce us to ourselves, okay? So there were places where they said he departed because they received him not. There was a mismatch in energy right there. But when he found his match, when he found the match in energy, some of the greatest miracles known to date were performed. And that's a model for us. We cannot unleash our miracles until we find our match. And it's your obligation to take your gifts and create something from that, and do not stop until you find your match. Because when you find your match, you will unleash your miracles.
That's good. Well, would it be fair to say that one of the keys to really the answer to the government shutdown is really in the power of your gifts?
Absolutely. That's the answer.
Right.
Point blank, period. No one can control that.
That's good. Matthew C. Horne, he is motivational speaker and author of several books, How to Get Beautiful Women, Choices, The Young Black Man's Guide to Successful Living, and All We Have Is Now. And actually one of my favorite books, Your Best Life Awaits You. I don't know if you can see that, but Your Best Life Awaits You. Where can they go for more information about you and all the wonderful things that you do, Mr. Matthew C. Horne?
Okay, you can visit my website, www.matthewchorne.com. And also you can visit my new blog site. I just unveiled my new blog this week, MatthewCHorneBlogs.com. You can check that out. And also, you can follow me, social network. Instagram is @MatthewCHorne. Twitter is @MatthewCHorne. And Facebook, I have a personal page, facebook.com/MatthewCHorne. Go ahead and send me a friend request. And my fan page is facebook.com/WeAreMotivation. So check me out on the web, and I love to interact with you all.
All right. As always, Matthew C. Horne, it's a pleasure to have you on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, very much, sir.
All right. I appreciate you sharing your platform, Mr. Robinson. Appreciate you.
No problem.
You've been tuned in to gospel interviews and unedited, unscripted, unrehearsed conversation about anything gospel. I'm your host, Larry W. Robinson. This broadcast was produced by TC for TC Productions. The music bed was provided by Angela Christie from her latest release, The Breath of Life. For more information about this particular broadcast, visit our official website at www.gospelinterviews.com.